Here we go. Top 5 Treehouse of Horrors. Number 5 is Treehouse of Horrors number 13. Now all 5 of these I have a lot of fun with. I like them a lot. So here we go. Number 13's first story is send in the clones. Clones. With Homer getting cloned again and again thanks to a magic hammock. And it's kind of fun to see the different types of Homers. You see like a really overweight Homer, probably when he was trying to get disability. You had Homer with the original animation, which was pretty cool to see. And also you even had Peter Griffin show up. People say, oh, Peter Griffin's just a cheap clone of Homer Simpson. And seeing the destruction the Homers cause is a lot of fun to see, I think. And the way they solve the problem is pretty hilarious. And I enjoyed it. I liked it quite a bit. And the second story is From My Cold Dead Hands. And it's an interesting story because it's something I think that somebody who's really into guns and is thinking that, oh, the gun is what will protect me in any situation, will definitely like the, not really moral, but the idea of this episode, where Lisa gets all the guns in Springfield banned and they get rid of them, and then the zombies, led by Billy the Kid, come and start wreaking havoc because the people of Springfield have no way to protect themselves. And so Homer has to go back in time and make sure that the people of Springfield don't destroy the guns. So it's a pretty good story, and there's definitely some funny moments with the Simpson family playing the piano peony, and watching them play songs while the Homer March plays songs while Lisa and Bart dance and do a ditty. Sorry, I'm trying to remember what words they said. The third story, and this is definitely my favorite of the 3, which is the Island of Dr. Hibbert. It's funny seeing the way that they parody the Island of Dr. Moreau, and the way that they get changed is hilarious, because you see one person, you see Marge get changed, and then Homer completely oblivious to it, and then once he finds out what's going on, you just got to watch it yourself. I can't really explain it without spoiling too much. If you haven't watched it yet, you gotta watch it. And Homer's interaction with the transformed Flanders is, to me, one of the funniest things. Not to mention to see what Lisa just takes to the animal instincts instantly, doesn't even try and hide the fact she's willing to kill and eat a family member. Yeah, definitely fun to watch. I enjoyed it. Not as much as number 4, which is Treehouse of Horrors number 5, or as I affectionately call it, Willie gets an axe in the back. Yeah, the first story, The Shining, not The Shining. You don't want to get sued. You want to get sued? No, it's The Shining. To see that little parody was kind of fun to watch, and have Homer go crazy. And don't mind if I do. And the way the nice little fake out with the typewriter thing from The Shining, and have it be, oh, maybe that, and then the reveal was done pretty well. I thought it could really work in an actual scary movie. And the way that Willie tries to save the day and fails is, again, funny, and how it all ends, to me, is kind of cool to see, and a nice little send-off to the ending of The Shining. The second one is, there are a lot of parodies of Twilight Zone episodes, and this is one of them, where Homer, with the toaster, gets sent back in time. Don't try to figure this out. Don't even try. It's just Simpsons logic. And this is Treehouse of Horrors logic. There are no rules. You can do whatever you want. So, yeah, Homer gets sent back in time, and every time he goes back, he does something to just completely change his present, change reality. And there's a really funny moment where it seems like he's hit the jackpot, and just when he thinks that his worst nightmare of a reality is upon him, he leaves, and then you got to see what happened. This part, it's just stupid Homer, why didn't you wait 3 more seconds or 5 more seconds? And of course, Willie tries to help him get back to his own time, and BAM! Axe in the back. This time, the first axe in the back came from Homer. The second axe came from Maggie. This is indeed a disturbing universe. Yeah, I was like, oh crap. Of course, it's not resolved in any way to the end of the story. It doesn't have to be, but it's a fun little romp. And the third story on this one is, the school, the people in the school, the principal, the teachers, the lunch lady are starting to eat the children. I was like, holy crap, it's pretty insane. And not to mention, it's pretty bloody too, with the way that at the end, Milhouse falls into a giant processor. And oh man, I saw that hole. I didn't think they would go that far. Yeah, it was something else. And then when Willie tries to save the day, Principal Skinner, bam, axe in the back. Oh, I'm bad at this. You are bad at this, Willie. You are bad at this. Oh, yeah, it's definitely fun. And the ending after the story, the whole ending bit, you gotta watch it again. The whole ender, with the end credits, it's like, what the hell? Yeah, it made me say, what the hell's going on here? But a lot of fun. I enjoy it. So number 3 on my list is the original Treehouse of Horrors, where they're actually in the treehouse telling horror stories. And it's kind of cool looking back at it now, seeing the animation, seeing the stories that were being told. First story being the haunted house, and it trying to get them out of there, and seeing what the house does to the Simpsons in this one is kind of fun. And for a first story, it's pretty good. It definitely doesn't hold up as well as the others, the second story in this one, but it's definitely fun to watch. Second story introduces us to Kang and Kodos, who keep on showing up year after year, even as cameos basically in some of these. But there's a nice little story. Again, this is the first, and was definitely not the last, Twilight Zone parody to serve man. And to see the Simpsons on the spaceship, they don't even bother to be, scared of what's going on for the most part. But the way that they have the twist to this sort of story, I think is a lot of fun. And not exactly fun, but it's very, very... How do I say this? It's very Simpsons-esque. And also a good parody because of how serious the subject matter was in the Twilight Zone episode. It was definitely a good parody. And that's all I gotta say about that. Third story on this one is a telling of The Crow, a classic by Edgar Allan Poe. For a lot of people, it's a classic. It's definitely different, and just to see the slow build up using the Simpsons characters, a pretty faithful adaptation of the story of The Crow, I gotta say. And it was pretty cool to see at the end of it, Bart and Lisa are like, oh, we're not scared of this. And then Homer again, all scared and quivering. Pretty cool. It was good. And thankfully, they follow it up really well with the second Treehouse of Horrors, which is number 2 on my list. This one was a lot of fun, and it has a really good opening, I thought, with Bart, Homer, and Lisa just devouring Halloween candy. And Marge, if you eat that, you're going to have nightmares. And all of them tend to be, we're going to get nightmares. And then each one, boom, boom, nightmare after nightmare. The first nightmare was Lisa's when she has the monkey's paw, an old story that's been around for a long time. And to see that little story getting retold through the eyes of the Simpsons is pretty cool to see. And having each of their wishes basically backfire on them, because that's what a monkey's paw does. It was nice to see that, and they're pretty faithful in that sense. But there were no like murders for the most part. This was before they really just started killing whoever they wanted, and sorry, but it was pretty cool to see. I enjoyed it. The third story is really fun too, with Homer basically being fired from work, and then Mr. Burns trying to replace all those people with robots, and him needing a brain, and he finds Homer sleeping in a grave. I don't know how you do that. And think, oh, let's take this corpse, and dragging his body back, trying to put his brain inside of a robot. Of course, the ending is just it's creepy and pretty dang good too, because no, let's spoil it. All right, this thing's almost 25 years old. Let's spoil the ending. The robot falls on Mr. Burns, and just his head is visible, and his rest of the body is crushed. And he tells Smithers, "I need you to do something for me." And then you see Homer wake up. Oh, it's just a nightmare. And he goes into the restroom, and Mr. Burns is on his shoulder. Mr. Burns' head is on his shoulder, telling him, "Oh yes, it was just a nightmare. Just a nightmare." It was kind of funny because they never do this except for rare occasions, where next week on The Simpsons, and they show Homer with Mr. Burns' head on his shoulder, and then, but of course the next week that doesn't happen because there are no rules in these things. It was just a fun little thing to see. Funny thing about the first like 4 or 5 Simpsons Halloween specials is you had a character come out, usually Marge, and say, "Oh, this Halloween special is very scary. Maybe you shouldn't have your children watch this episode," because apparently they thought we were, overly sensitive to stuff, or that we would actually kill people if we watched this sort of thing. Come on. But that kind of happened. But our Master of Ceremonies in my number 1 was Bart Simpson and Treehouse of Horrors number 4. Yes, this is my favorite Treehouse of Horrors episode. It's a lot of fun. Bart being like a curator in a museum, introducing each story. And the first story being The Devil and Homer Simpson, where Homer sells his soul to the devil, Ned Flanders, for a donut. It's always the guy you least expect. Or the guy you least suspect, I should say, sorry. And seeing him bargaining away his soul for a donut, and then trying to weasel his way out of it, trying to go to court, so the court of the damned, to make sure he doesn't go to hell, is definitely a cool concept. I don't know if it was a parody of anything, but I like the story. I like the story a lot. It was a lot of fun. The second story is, I think, the weakest of the 3, but it's still a fun story. With Terror at 5.5 Feet, a parody of a Twilight Zone episode. How many of these Twilight Zone parodies have they done on The Simpsons, I wonder? And this time it's Bart on a school bus with a gremlin destroying the bus, trying to cause an accident. It's kind of funny because he tells Otto Man. I don't know if I sound like Otto or Macho Man Randy Savage there. He tells Otto, "There's a gremlin on the side of the bus," and he looks, and there's a gremlin, the car gremlin on the side of the bus, being driven by Hans Moleman. "Do you, little black dude?" Bam! Just sends it off the road. Oh, poor Hans. This is not the first time this sort of something crazy or sad would happen to him. But it was fun. It was funny though. That first time was just hilarious. And just to see Bart really tripping out and going crazy, just like the passenger in the Twilight Zone episode, kind of fun to see, and just a nice little parody of that episode. Also, the fourth one, another parody. This time, it's Bart Simpson's Dracula instead of Bram Stoker's, and it's Mr. Burns playing the role of Dracula in this one, and just to see the way that they parody the movie is kind of interesting. and the little subtle things about it, like the way that Bart would just like how am I trying to say? Oh yeah, like Bart would say, oh yeah, like we're just going to hit a secret passage here, boom, and see the door open, the wall open up, and it's just a long washer and dryer. Those little details like that are funny to me, and not to mention they take 2 steps and oh look, there's the sign that says the secret entrance, and the way that Lisa tries to tell everybody, oh Bart, he's been kidnapped, he's a vampire, and Homer, one of my favorite lines, I still quote it sometimes, is oh Lisa, you and your stories, Bart is a vampire, beer kills brain cells. Now that's I'm not gonna do the whole scene. I could probably could if I wanted to, but I don't. I'll spare you. And then the ending's kind of fun. It's a nice little faux ending because it's one of those things where they break the fourth wall in a sense and go Happy Halloween, and they start singing. And there's a nice little Snoopy parody or homage, if you want to call it. Let's call it homage. Snoopy homage as they're panning out, singing at the end of the episode. It's definitely my favorite one. I like it a lot. I would watch it every year, and I have already this year watched it. Thank you, Internet, for having that. Sorry. So, those are my top 10 Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors episodes. So, what are your favorite Treehouse of Horror episodes? Let me know. I'm curious. Next time, in November, who knows? Nothing's planned yet. So, until then, happy Halloween.